Step right up, let's take the dive. Crypto world is coming alive. From XRP to the blockchain beat. Join the crew where pioneers meet. Got builders, dreamers paving the way. Multi-chain vibes, we're here to stay. Wanna know? Don't wait, let's go. Dip a toe, join the Web3 flow. Take a step, explore the scene. Dip a toe, show, living the dream. From the ledger to the stars we climb. Crypto's future, it's our time. Dip a toe, yeah, take that chance. Join the vibe, let's crypto dance. Faces of crypto, stories we share. Early adopters, they're everywhere. From XRP to the Web3 wave. Bold moves, only we're here to pave. Melissa and Simon, they light the way. Every week it's a crypto play. Wanna know? Don't wait, let's go. Dip a toe, join the Web3 flow. Take a step, explore the scene. Dip a toe, show, living the dream. From the ledger to the stars we climb. Crypto's future, it's our time. Dip a toe, yeah, take that chance. Join the vibe, let's crypto dance. Let's crypto dance. No advice, just a spark to ignite. Do your research, keep your vision tight. Community strong, we're building the way. Dip a toe show, here to stay. Take a step, explore the scene. Dip a toe show, living the dream. From the ledger to the stars we climb. Crypto's future, it's our time. Dip a toe, yeah, take that chance. Join the vibe, let's crypto dance. So take a chance, don't be shy. Crypto's calling, we're reaching the sky. Join the movement, come take a look. Web3's rising, the world's been shook. Ooh.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a Federal Payments Task Force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report.
You know, this is that stuff that happens right after a full moon. Like we're still in the full moon energy, and it still like finds a way
what a bummer.
to screw things up. But we're gonna put the link to that.
Sorry about that,
guys.
it was my brilliant idea. Yeah. Sorry. Welcome to Dip a Toe, guys.
Welcome to the Dip a Toe, broadcasting live.
Every time I try. Every time. So welcome. There's 41 of you in here right now. We appreciate you coming. We have a special guest this evening. I tried to play the Why Do I Hold XRP video. Not financial advice. Crypto is here in the house with us. We're going to touch on all of his fantastic research connecting skills. If you've never come across his channel, you're in for a treat. He's fantastic. Met him in Vegas. What a fantastic guy, Simon. Were you able to meet him in Vegas?
Do you remember that I was trying to surf 2 tornadoes in the middle of a hurricane? Do you remember that? No, there was so many people saw me. Like, I'm still getting people that said, dude, I saw you, but I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, dang it. It would have been okay. I know I was like, I got this. I'm doing this. But
well, you're going to get to meet him
didn't
tonight.
Get a chance. That's all right. He's here now.
He's here now. Man, it's going to be exciting too. All right. I'm going to stop sharing that. Well, let's get him in here. The one and only not financial advice crypto. Welcome to the Dip a Toe Show. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, Melissa. I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Man, I've wanted to have you on the show for so long. There's a bunch of people in here, and they're just chomping at the bit to hear your story. I'll just start off by saying I'm a big fan, fangirl here. That's gonna be straight up.
Oh, she's fanboying. Watch out, she's fanboying.
Yeah,
I appreciate that so much.
But I will say, your ability to put together connect the dots for people, because if you're in the crypto space or just even conspiracy theory and all these types of things, we're all what we call awake, right? Like, we are seeing things that most folks don't see. And ever since I found you, I'd be like, that guy sees what I see, but you have this incredible way of putting things together and telling a story and giving us a visual of it and providing, links and, you're sourcing back what you're putting together. And it's just incredibly fun. It's an incredibly fun channel to watch. And so when I met you, I was like, talking your ear off, and I'm like, this is somebody that I was so excited. So thank you so much for coming on. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, so this is what we always ask people that come on Dip a Toe Show. We say, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then tell us how you got into crypto, like how long you've been in crypto and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for that. I loved our conversation in Vegas. It was, we knew we had to do this, we were on such a same wavelength, like so many people there. But yeah, I started in music and marketing. Those were my favorite things to do in college. And I took on a marketing angle to journalism, essentially. And so through journalism school, I sort of started to learn, like, the news stories appealed to me differently in that time. It was like, kids around me are making up sources in their papers. Like, of course, this is going on at the highest level. And the more you progress through it, the more you learn, like, there's a handful of corporations that own lots of these networks. And you start to realize there's a top-down approach to this whole thing. Fast forward to sort of out of college, the stock market was something I'd always put off, but kind of knew I had to learn about one day. It felt so complex, and investing in general. But finally, I started hearing about this Bitcoin thing, maybe in 2017, kind of early 2017. It was like $2,000. It was climbing. I had never bought anything, as an investment. all the news was so scary about it, you know, and after a while, it was so intriguing, the juxtaposition of the price rising alongside all this negative news telling me not to buy it. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, and I bought it. Maybe late 2017, bought my first crypto, XRP. I learned about as a result of the Bitcoin buy. And then, you know, everyone was saying it's going to moon XRP $10. This was in 2018. And they kind of call this like paying for your education. So I'm like all in on this thing. It's, you know, it's going to change everything. Right. And all the same things that's coming to fruition today is what they were saying was going to happen tomorrow in 2018. You know, CNBC was selling it and everything. And man, that opened up my whole world when it crashed. When the crypto market crashed after all that hype, it really took my focus onto who lied to me. Like, what is this machine that is engineering these stories that screwed me over, you know? And it was that, like, it lit a fire in me. And I just, like, I couldn't, when I really started paying attention, patterns emerged in these news networks' efforts, and I was just so fascinated by it. I aimed my interest at it. That was basically what I tried to I set to figure out. So,
where your attention goes, your energy flows, is what I like to say, right?
Absolutely.
So 2017, you found it. You discovered you've been lied to. Take us down the path of starting to research these liars and scammers, and, you know, was there like a eureka moment or one first find that really caught your attention, and then you start thinking like, boy, I'm really onto something here?
Yeah, you know, I think what really broke it all open was I didn't come into the sort of, you know, maybe like 8 years ago, YouTube was like a totally different battleground for conspiracy theories. It was just totally different. There was less access to information. It was very much like people, they would run with anything. And it was hard to really get an idea of what was real. And, you know, certain people get pulled down these dark rabbit holes. So you start your truth journey on like, all these people are evil. The world is this terrifying place. And something funny happened to me. I decided like, okay, like I get it. You know, there's this handful of people, they tell us, and this is all what you're exposed to on these YouTube videos and in the beginning of your conspiracy journey. There's this group, they're out to get us, and they control everything. Well, then I was like, okay, but then who are they? Like, where are they? You know, if I could figure out what these people are doing, maybe I could invest and get in front of something that feels completely optimistic. Prime, what's up? I just saw it.
I agree, Opti. The voice is too perfect for this work. 1000%. You should hear it in my headphones. Like, it's perfect. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Go on.
So instead of, I went through this sort of arc where, and I swear, this is the natural curve of every conspiracy theorist. You start here, and many don't make it out. Many give up on it entirely. But I wanted to figure out where it was coming from. And in doing so, it sent me down this whole new path of life, basically. I saw this big, what felt like a unified effort, and sort of the things that are associated with this effort over time started to seem a lot less evil, genuinely. Where you start your journey like crypto slavery, they're going to use it to, you know, build the Death Star and all these, you know, crazy, scary things.
Mark of the beast.
And so, like, at first I decided, you know, these people that supposedly run the world and enslave us, they need crypto to succeed. So that's kind of where I started. And regardless, I was like, I mean, I should just buy this either way. I'm not supporting, let's say they are evil, I'm not supporting their mission at all. I'm just getting a piece of what feels inevitable based on this massive list of things. And so in videos, like back in the day, it was like DAI, Darren Moore Jr., King Solomon, you know, a lot of these guys, I would watch them religiously, and it started to become this thing where it was like too much. It was like, this is absolutely what they're doing. I couldn't see how at the bare minimum it wouldn't be the right. It didn't seem worthy of speculation that it would be possible. And I was like, this feels fair to assume it will be used in the future. These are the people that are building it. And that was kind of my introduction. It started with like, who is the one making all these narratives? And when I kind of had a good grip on that, you start with the news is fake. They're lying to me. Now it's who's lying and what are they saying? And then it's why are they saying that? And then you find their whole agenda, which, doesn't feel as evil in retrospect. It's a whole journey.
It's kind of funny, excuse me, when President Trump was elected, or like even before he was elected, the whole fake news, right? And I think that actually worked to wake a lot of people up or get them to start questioning the narratives on certain things. And, for me, there would be, the only reason I even got on Twitter at the time was because people were saying, well, Trump said this, Trump said that. And I'm like, no, he didn't really say that, And so I was like, well, they keep citing or Twitter all the time. And so when I logged on, I signed up for an account. And I started watching some of the full length interviews that people were citing on the news. And I'm like, well, that's not how it went down at all. Like that, if you listen to the whole thing in context, they're really skewing this. And I did the same thing. It's like, well, what else are they lying about? What else are they, stretching the truth on? And come to find out, it's quite a few things, right? That they're telling lies. So I think collectively, they're with folks like you and of course the president that's out there screaming, no matter whether you like him or you hate him, he forces you to think. He forces you to start looking up things, even if to prove him wrong, So I think it's been a good thing actually for the awakening process. But so now you're awake, you're searching things, you're realizing that it's that a lot of the news is fake, and you come to the realization that maybe these people aren't necessarily all evil, but they are communicating with each other, aren't they?
Oh yeah. And again, I always say this in my videos, like I am truly just trying to figure this all out with everybody. I don't know the answers to these. I also hold on to sort of multiple theories that, if that's not true, well, maybe this is, and things like that. So I think we're all just trying to figure it out. But so I never like to basically go all in on a certain assumption like this, but I will, put more eggs in a certain basket, I should say. So when I say I say it does feel like they're less evil than is portrayed. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to discount terrible things that could be real or anything, but it does feel like people in North Korea, for example, are, propagandized, or at least that's our picture of propaganda in the US.
Yeah.
And it really feels like, because it's a fact that news has been faked in the past, that's just a fact. Certain news has been faked to achieve means to an ends, to convince people to want something that checks off a box and an agenda. That's just happening. Well, sorry, I almost lost my train of thought.
No,
since we know this is happening, we can't just decide now some news is totally real and some news is totally fake. We have to just assume any story could be fake to achieve some means to an ends, especially and mostly stories that are amplified on the biggest levels that hit everyone. Those stories to me seem too coordinated in a sense a lot of times. And so that's another thing. When you're watching this news and you're at least aware of the potential of this use of it, this weaponization of it to, achieve things or to change minds, you start asking yourself, why the news instead of what is the news? So when you see these news stories and instead you say well, why would they want me to think that right now? Or why do I have to think this right now? Why do I have to look at this fact that says the XRPL has the lowest amount of dev activity, in 2022 before it was ever going to be used in the first place? Why are they showing me that right now? And that opens up a new world. That opens up a new angle into what feels like a truer. It just feels like a truer prediction. You're able to make a truer prediction when you look at the news that way.
I think it's so important that you said that. And my Ryan is the one that really got me thinking more that way about asking the question why. He within like trying to teach me. He's a science professor, and talking
Weird
about
science.
weird science. But he, talking about climate change or whatever it may be. There's a whole social justice type of push in the universities these days where, the material that they want you to cover should have some aspect of social justice and that sort of thing. But in any event, and if you go against the narratives of climate change or some of these other things that they push, you get some pushback big time. But he started, explaining to me, you need to ask the question, why? Who stands to benefit from you believing these things, just like you said? And again, that is another reason why as soon as I saw your channel and listened to you and the things that you're putting together, I was like, holy smokes, man, this guy is on my same wavelength, because I think with everything, we need to ask the question, why? And can you go in a little bit deeper on that, on the importance of just the public in general, no matter whether you're looking at, whatever narrative is being pushed, it doesn't really matter. How important is it for people to ask why, the question why, and what could they stand to benefit from asking that question?
Yeah, well, I think you said it there too with wavelength. So like, I don't think this is for everybody. I think there is a reason that's my biggest sort of precaution in this whole research world is like, the more I discover systems and things in place, and the less that I just assume they're evil and built to enslave me, the more I realize there might be a purpose bigger than my own understanding for them. And so like, I don't think this is meant for, every single person. I think you have to do some prerequisite research. You have to be open to receiving this kind of idea. And I think it's freeing in a way for those who are already there almost, which we talked about in Vegas. It's kind of like you're ready for this and you find it. It's not the other way around. Like, it's hard to go seeking this type of thing because it's such a counter to, your comfortable everyday reality or whatever you're taught. But like, these systems of this thing of climate change is so, and I'm not an advocate for it by any means. In the beginning, I looked at it like a total scam, and maybe it is, right? But when you really think about it, like, what these people seem to be doing are building sort of guides, like they're putting rails around innovation to sort of push innovation in a specific direction, and they're putting funding behind that direction. So if you're an innovator and you're a young college kid, you don't know anything. You're just like, climate, whatever it takes basically for these strategists to get all these people involved. What we witness is their marketing, their approach. And unfortunately, like, when you're talking to a population of all these different people, you say things in these fractals of communication, like you hit these different levels. And that's kind of why Trump's so good. He says such simple sentences that hit all these different, levels of awareness. And half the time people don't even know what the hell he's talking about. Well, if like, it wasn't for them, like,
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's for us and those who are trying to get this mental freedom, because I think that's ultimately what it is, to realize that maybe things aren't as horrifying as they are billed on TV, as they're put in front of you, because that has some kind of effect on your willingness to go along with it psychologically.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about it, and it's like, if you come across something like that and you start questioning it, and you're actually seeing it, and other people don't see what you see, it can kind of be a little bit of a lonely existence there for a half a second, because people will say like, well, you're reading way too much into it. But I mean, once I started seeing things, I saw it everywhere. people on TV, interviews, making gestures, and like some of them are really good at it. It's very subtle, and others are, you could tell they're supposed to tug their ear and do this and do that, whatever. They're not very good at it, and it's very evident if you're watching for things like that. Or a professional person showing up on stage with great big boots on with a suit. Like it's like my reasonable mind tells me that a man that has this much money and is a professional is not going to show up to a conference in freaking rain boots. And,
that blew my mind.
Okay, so you saw it too. Like, and everybody's like, well, it's no big. I'm like, no, that ain't, like, think about it.
Not only that, like, this was, if Ripple follows the Star Wars theme, which I think they do,
Yeah.
and I think, Luke Skywalker's X-Wing being AA589, and everything else that is baked into that movie, like, it's impossible coincidence for Brad Garlinghouse to wear Skywalk boots on stage at Davos 2024. They're $70 boots. He's probably got a $3,000 suit on. Like, what?
I was talking about Larry Fink was at some they were asking him about what was coming, and he was up on stage and he had these like really ugly, awkward, like boots, like you'd go walking through the mud in, right?
Oh my God, I didn't even see that one.
Oh yeah, I can't. I tried to find the clip because I had saved it somewhere and I can't find it. But in any event, yeah, and I saw the Brad Garlinghouse boots, same kind of thing, man. It's like, I wonder if you think, so I just want to know what your perspective is. I think that this is the way that they've been communicating with each other out in the open, hidden in plain sight with each other. Because why? Because you can't tell, it's plausible deniability. You can, like, there's so many recordings or people trying to entrap you and whatever. And so if you're like typing it up in an email, or you're sending it in a letter, or you're talking it out loud, you can't really convey certain things and signals about what's going to go down, right? So if you start thinking in a way of like, well, how would you convey a message to your friends, the people that need to know, that are in the know? How would you communicate with them? You'd give them a sign, right, of some sort. And I can just only imagine that some of them know, and and other people are speculating like us. And I don't think we're ever really supposed to know this, but if we do, I don't think they really care because there's not that many of us. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that perspective. I think that signaling and signs and symbolism is a form of human communication since the very beginning. That's the funnest part of it, basically. And it's one of the most fun things for them to do, probably. You think you have $1 billion, you're running the world, you want to build camaraderie for your team, and it's fun. It's fun to have a speculative audience trying to figure out secrets that you may or may not have planted. That's just so fun. I mean, as someone who's trying to figure it out, it's been such a joy. I mean, the rabbit holes that they send us down, it feels there has to be at least a sum of these riddle connections and things. Some of them have to be on. Like, there's been like 1,000 now, so this has to be happening at some form of whether it's on the biggest stage on CNBC or, Jerome Powell or whoever it might be. Sending secret language has been going on since the dawn of time, especially with these high level speakers. It's just been going on forever.
Let's talk about these riddlers. So first, I guess I would like to know, what's the first riddler that you stumbled upon that like raised your eyebrows, and kind of take it from there? Because again, like I said at the top of the show, you are literally the best dot connector I've ever seen in my life. and putting together these things. And, you know, there's a lot of people that speculate what these things could mean. And we all kind of delve into it and go like, well, I think it could mean this or that or whatever. Yours is a whole nother level. It's like next level stuff. So what was the first riddler that you came across that you were like, there could be more to this here?
Well, first, you know, there's so many amazing decoders and researchers in the community, and it's what's so amazing about them and just today's day and age is finding information now from this long 8+ year history of tweets and keyword searches, and everyone's tweets. Well, not everyone's, many of them have been deleted actually, but there's lots of breadcrumbs left throughout history, and you can find them. So there's this, what I've become very good at is searching the internet. There's strategies and kind of ways to find what you're looking for in a lot of ways that I don't think everyone's as creative with, I should say. I think that's one of my edges, is sort of just using all these different keyword searches and different search engines and databases and whatever it may be to kind of find the gold, you know, the gems, the pieces of information that connect these broader themes that have yet to be discovered. That's what we're trying to do basically as researchers. Sorry, what was the question here again?
Well, the first riddler. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, man, I was so into DAI, Moon Lambo, these guys. I was getting the hang of XRP and really understanding the day-to-day news. And then there was this extra attention on Bearableguy 123. And I didn't pay much attention to it for the first riddle, but it was very intriguing. The art of it is just not like, it's its own thing. It's very original. It was very like, it stuck with me for some reason. And the more, maybe another one came out and I started really studying it, and it became like, first of all, I'm a graphic designer as well, by trade. So like I kind of got in the mind of a graphic designer. I know what it takes to build certain images like this. And the way that he would build, or whoever it is, I think it's a group maybe, but the way they would build these images with 10 million plus pixels. And if you run them through like steganography or I forget the word exactly, but there's like hidden cryptographic messaging in the pixels of the color. Yeah. And you keep going. And I guess like what was so, the more I read about like classic fiction and the more I tried to understand these riddles, I started to understand what they felt like to me. And that was sort of an invitation to like esoteric themes that were hidden in archetypes of all the best fiction and even historical events. And these things started jumping out at me more to where it almost felt like the algorithm was messing with me sometimes, showing me all these different things, like nudging me to make a video about it, almost like, look at how I got to the point where I would tell my wife like, hey, you're not going to believe this. And she's like, oh, let me guess, like 589 again. Like it gets to the point where you have so many discoveries. It's like not even mind blowing anymore. You're like,
can I ask you a question? So what you just said resonated with me so much. It's like, you'll start looking for something. And I know there's algorithms that push stuff your way, but I will be looking for something, and then all of a sudden, like something else will come in front of me unexpectedly that I'm like, well, what the heck is this? And it'll like seem like it'd be nothing to someone else. And then I start looking into it more and I'm like, oh man, like this is really interesting. And this does tie into this. How the hell did this come across me? You know, to be like, how did that get put in front of my face?
Totally.
You know? It's wild. It does creep you out a little bit, right? Just a half a second where you're just like, man, and you're like looking around like, oh, am I supposed to know this stuff? You know? Absolutely.
It gets crazy, and it's fun. It's fun to speculate on what it could be. If it is riddlers, if it's AI, if it's like AI, you could go in all kinds of directions. My cousin always tells me, well, it's either time travel or God.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I go with God.
Like, I don't know, man.
Ski Mask Citizen says confirmation bias, ?
What did he say?
He said confirmation bias, ?
And I mean, yeah, you could say that too if you want. Yeah. Go ahead. But after a while, I think after you get beyond like 3 coincidences,
Yeah.
that's when there's more intention behind a pattern. And then if there's like 10 or 20, or like if there's 20, then it's basically clear communication.
Yeah. Well, and I always say, I can't give you my oil, like all of the hours, like thousands of hours that I've spent looking into different things and going down different rabbit holes and making the connections. And like I say, I have like all these dots everywhere, and but I can't convey it to someone else like you can. Like you can actually put it in front of somebody that actually makes sense. And so like I just don't even really try anymore, because I say, like, I can't tell you all the things I know because there's so much in my head from everything that I've looked into, that it's just it's crazy, really. It's like it's so much. And then when I see your stuff, I'm like, this guy is incredible, but like what you're able to put through, like put out to the public for them just even to have fun. And you do always note, like, this is fun, you're having a good time with it. But I think that you're really bringing a lot of stuff to light that's very interesting,
But it is so fun. And I truly believe if someone's doing this, they're having a lot of fun too. And I think there's this mental block we have, which might be one of the goals. We talked earlier about propaganda and how, the North Koreans don't know they're being propagandized, right? Well, maybe we don't either. And maybe much of the propaganda we're exposed to is under the radar in the form of everyone's evil. Don't look that way. Like, these people are out to get you, to the point where it builds this wall, or at least makes you look at the wrong things that are least effective in changing what they're doing. Like, if you're focused on like Klaus Schwab wanting to make everyone eat crickets or something, like so many people were 5 years ago, you just didn't have a clue what was going on. Like, and I was one of them. And it took a while to break out of what felt to me like a strategy.
Yeah. There's always those folks too that they put out that get like totally popular from, like, you don't know of them at all, and then all of a sudden they explode on the scene and they're freaking everywhere, right? And then everybody starts parroting their same, doom and gloom of what this and that is going to happen. And then new people pop up with the same messaging. And so it looks like, collectively, it looks like, oh, this must be the truth if you're a truther, right? And, I always say, like, don't put me in a box. Like, I want to look outside of the box, because I think that's where they want you. They want you just thinking whatever they want you to think.
And you're way more inclined to sort of connect this negative idea. You're way more inclined to believe all these evil things. But like, why? Because it just happens to reinforce a worldview that hinges on everything being completely evil. And it's more about your current state of being. Like, that might be a thing too, where it kind of takes one to know one. Like, you see the evil that you're not getting through out of yourself yet. Like, you haven't gotten through that thing, and you're projecting this negativity on the world, and you can see the world however you want. It feels like,
man, we do create our own reality, don't we? I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, really? Right. But it's true, and it's like that, where your attention goes, your energy flows, and the types of people are attracted to what you're putting off. And I always say too, fear is a liar. And if you're fearful and you have that negative energy, what does it do? It paralyzes you, right? And a paralyzed public is a lot easier to control than an enlightened public. And so, I always just say, like, oh, just really, if you just get out of focusing, because there's certain things that you're not going to ever change, even if there is evil in the world, or there's bad things that may or may not happen. If you spend your time focusing on those bad things, you're not focusing on the beautiful things that are around you. And just like you said, I think we can create our own reality, and we can have the world that we want. We can inspire the world that we want to see, and we speak it into existence. That's what I believe. But a lot of people are like, you don't live where I live. Well, I've lived where you've lived, and I've survived because I think like this, right? So, you know?
Yeah, we're all basically on a mission to transcend. If you think about it, we're here to learn lessons and move up and understand the world. And love each other. Basically, I think that's what it is.
Amen. Hey, Simon, you got any questions for him?
No.
Are you soaking it all in?
Oh no. Well, it's a fascinating. I'm going to call it a topic. Researching kind of what got you there. I too have gone through this journey, and I've recognized my place within some of those parts of the journey. And NFA, you were just talking about kind of where I'm at now personally, as like, yeah, maybe, but I'm going to do this over here. I'm gonna participate in being around people that I find that are a better individual than I am, that they're achieving their big goals, because I have big goals, but I really couldn't tell you what they are. I just know I want them, and I know I want to have great, wonderful outcomes. And since I've been doing that, since we're talking about, we create our own world, our own universe. Opti, I know you're not feeling the best Opti you can be, but Opti's said numerous times, as well as anybody else that's been on the show or been in this chat, that where we really focus on what the world is, then our world will be that. Law of attraction. By the way, that was one of my first riddle things. If you ever really want that, and God bless Dan Brown. I love Dan Brown as an author. The Da Vinci Code. Oh, that was so cool. I've always been down that road, but I've learned from that road to go, oh my gosh, I literally don't have to participate. You guys can throw whatever you want in front of me. I'll let you. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. You want to.
That's the hack right there.
You want to give your time to this on this earth. I'm sorry. I've come to realize one of the most valuable lessons on this earth is our time is our most precious asset. We can't make more. So, I mean,
exactly.
Okay, world's gonna end. Maybe I'm gonna go do this.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to see the other things that do actually take place. How do myself, we communicate right here, right now. But at some point, let's go with just the theory here that XRP is gonna hit $15. Okay, for a lot of people, that's a lot of money because they've been stacking this long. Okay, now they're in a whole new world. A whole new world. Okay. But now, since they're in that world, now they have to do things differently. Less texts, less phone calls, less emails, probably new cell phone, new emails, just because of out of protection and self-preservation financially. It's just like a graduation as we move forward. And so we too will be like, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting to see that. And if you watch like any like fantasy movie or show, there's a point where the well-to-dos in those shows, Game of Thrones is probably one of the most recent well-known series of shows that do this. All the ladies must know, all the heads of the family, as well as the men do as well, but the ladies talk about the sigils and why they might do things, why they might wear a green dress, etc., right? Like the rawest form of communication that arguably is still around to say, this is what we're doing. We don't have the paperwork yet, but as an upstanding individual in this society, I will not stir the herd because we don't do that, right? Again, whole new world. So I find it very, very, very fascinating on anybody that makes a connection to the relationships between people and how they came together and how their poker face, right? We're being able to pick up on those, like you talked about, patterns. I see patterns all the time. I too was like, who screwed me out of my millions? What happened to Moon back in 2017, 2018? I remember that. But then I started picking up on patterns, trading cycles, etc., business cycles, and more and more and more. So it's very, very fascinating.
Definitely. And I love what you said about you don't have to participate in the illusion.
No.
My poor grandma, you know, she gets so stressed out about certain news stories. I'm like,
Right.
Grandma,
Yep.
you don't no one's really trying to figure out like what a woman is. Okay. That is
Right.
like a whole, like, you don't have to look at that and participate in that mayhem, but that's somehow what they've got 100 million people talking about. And you'll notice that 100 million people are never talking about innovation, what actually ends up happening. It's always sort of chasing paradoxical arguments that are built. They're just hamster wheels. They don't progress anything.
Absolutely. And, you know, even at work or just some
You're
of
the
my
best,
friends
babe.
that will talk about different things that are happening, you know, like you're saying, you know, arguing over like, what is a woman and all that. And I would say to them, are you experiencing that? Are you having a bunch of people come around and say that to you? Or no. And I'm like, yeah, because neither am I, and neither are any of the people that I know. Everything is pretty harmonious around here. Like, you know, we're just, you know, they'll say like, you know, they're not hiring women. There's no women in the workforce, whatever. I'm like, I have to tell you, I work with a lot of women. Like there's a lot of women everywhere in my work, you know. So are you on mute? You're on mute. Simon, you muted yourself.
I was sipping some tea. I was sorry about that. Or what I've discovered is there are a lot of women who are leading the charge, who are now self-made millionaires. And there's a lot of them. So guess what? No, they're not in the workforce.
Right.
Yeah. they are up and out and doing good things. Yeah, like, you know, it's great. It's not all the way there, equal fair share pie, but I'm saying no, man. They're woo. You go, ladies. You go do it.
Let's
do it
go.
because you're doing it in a different way that's probably been done for a while, and we need some change a little bit. We need different strategies, you know. So go ahead, be the bull in the China China wear shop. Do it, girls. Do it. Break something.
I want to know NFA. So you're obviously someone who's very alert and aware, and kind of looking for things or seeing things. So you stumbled upon the Bearableguy 123. Who are some of your other riddlers that you stumbled upon, and when did you decide that you were going to start making videos? Like when I think, man, maybe it really wasn't even your first one, but the video that I tried to play at the top of the show was the, you know, why do I hold XRP? When did you decide you were going to start making videos like that?
I think it got to the point where I was just so fascinated by it. I kept making these discoveries, and tweets gained more attention, I guess. Or first of all, I think I was more interested in this idea of cryptographic riddlers, you know, cryptographically riddling cryptographers. It's like I made a video about how it's basically the joy of cryptography is hiding a message in plain sight that only those with the key can access the meaning of. And it was very intriguing. And I think also you get to a point in your crypto journey. Well, I think this is how it was for those who joined in 2018. But back then you had really good information coming all the time. Like I keep shouting those guys out, but it was coming from them and many others. And that information, it was so great to get that information and to see all these developments and to have that kind of faith in a company or into a crypto movement and to have that information to believe in that. But it got to the point where there was so much you didn't really need any more of it. It was like, man, like I get it. Like it's I made that video and I named all those things, and for a little bit I made 2 others, monthly bullish developments for, I think it was October and November. And by December, I'm like, man, I don't
need a dead horse. Don't
something
need to.
weird going on here. Like no one develops like this. This isn't real. It's real, but it doesn't feel natural to have a news update every day like that. All these developments. And that's when the riddles got much more intriguing to me. Like if this is some kind of done deal and the world's a stage, like in it's a whole other aspect of my research basically, and how the news is faked on the world stage. Like maybe it's staged further in advance than we can comprehend right now, 100%. Such that it would be decided. Certain things would be ritualistically decided, certain numbers and dates and things like that. Maybe that's true. Maybe that was happening, yeah. But it gave those, including myself, these riddles gave us something else to go for. Like we followed this grueling lawsuit for so long, and it was just brutal. And it really, we all came together in such a way that was incredible for being the internet through the SEC lawsuit and everything. But man, after that, I was just craving new information, something else. I wanted to keep learning, but I couldn't keep learning that there was a new development. Right. So what the riddles did for me especially was break open the history, like the past of crypto. It forced me to look so far back, where truly today, I believe the best information you can find, you have to go back. You can't just start your crypto journey today. You missed so much, and all the new information is so tailored to pull you into a realm of market making strategy. Basically, it's like they lure you into these little psychology groups and just terrorize you. They get you to hold one coin and they dump it.
They want you to pick sides, right? The divide, because
exactly.
I want before you move on, there's a couple things I want to touch on that you mentioned that I was like, oh my gosh. So I was gonna say, like, I was a Q person, okay? Like I followed from like almost day one. I followed all of that stuff. And, it really did teach me how to research things and dive in deeper than I had really gone in the past. But I've always been a person that asks a lot of questions. However, one of the things that I really remember is back in the Twitter days when they started sharing information through memes. Okay. And I remember them saying, they can't trace the meme. The algorithm can't stop the memes. And so they were really encouraging everybody to put their message on the meme, okay, or within the meme instead of a post. And this was the narrative that was being pushed during that time, because people were getting kicked off left and right. The truthers were getting kicked off left and right. And so anyway, there was a person that I was, friended on Twitter or whatever. They had messaged me a picture and they said, what do you see? And at the time, I wasn't as far along as I am now when they asked me. And it was a picture of a lady like on a porch, and she was doing, whatever. And it was part of like this other kind of conspiracy thing that I was looking into at the time. But I remember like really looking at the picture and trying to figure out, what they were asking me. What I see? Now, years and years later, I'm looking back and I'm like, I bet you they were testing me, because there probably was some kind of cryptographic message within that photo, like you say. And I wasn't aware of that at the time, right? I didn't know what I was participating in, but I was most definitely spreading messages, probably not knowing that I was doing it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the useful idiot type of thing. So in any event, I just got a big old kick out of that. Oh, darn it. There was the one other thing that you were, where you were leaving off that I wanted to, what did you end with before I rudely interrupted you with my crazy story?
I don't remember exactly where we left off.
I don't either. All I know is
rolling with it.
Yeah, we're rolling with it. So, I mean, so basically you're saying you're starting to see all these things. They want to push us into a narrative. When it comes to the crypto thing, I know what it was. You have to go back to the beginning of the crypto space. And from me going back, and I'm curious what you've discovered as well, is they want you to think everybody right now they're all in different camps and they're all fighting, and they want you fighting and championing one coin over another, whatever. But if you really go back into history, you realize that a lot of these guys, they were living together when they're like developing these things. These guys were all friends. Many of them, and then they kind of split off into like different camps and stuff. And I wondered what your perspective is on that, because it is easy to take people down the division road, because when we're divided, we're weak. United, we're strong. And so if you can just get somebody to chomp on that division ball, like, you're never going to get the full story, because they want you focused on pushing one story or another. There always has to be a villain, right?
Yeah, you can't understand crypto if you come at it like, what I've seen is most people enter crypto with a new understanding they just developed, that the dollar or fiat is broken. And so they say, fiat's broken, we need to fix it. Bitcoin fixes it. That's what it's billed as. That's the introduction. Yep. And then you are totally convinced, and most people still are, and they're stuck here, but you're totally convinced that every crypto was built and created to just replace fiat. Like, we're like, okay, we're just going to replace broken money. That's what crypto's all trying to do. And then you are forced to consider, well, which one does that the best? Is Bitcoin the best at replacing fiat? No, it's slow. And all this BS basically about Bitcoin that pulls you into this false paradigm, this complete misunderstanding of what it is. It's not trying to do what XRP is doing at all. And XRP is not doing what Bitcoin's doing. And so that's just an example. But you can see now where if you're trying to fix sentiment in a market and sort of control it as best you can to convince an X amount, as much as you can, a percentage of a population to get into one thing, when they're in that one thing, they're so controllable. They're so predictable, because you can assume how they'll act when it crashes, when it rises. You know where they're at emotionally, because they hold one thing. So they become an easy digit in an algorithm. They're way more understandable. Where if you have this, which feels like they're protecting this understanding that many will be used, and that I use too many. I'm too exaggerate, too much hyperbole with they're all, but plenty of them are in it together. They're working on building an ecosystem. They're not working on cutting each other's heads off. They're all going to handle, or the chosen ones, the biggest ones, are going to handle their area of expertise in this whole ecosystem. And that's this big secret, I think. And there's so much effort to get you to look at transaction speeds and compare these things on all kinds of levels that make no sense at all. It just doesn't make any sense to compare certain developer activity with certain cryptos, but it's this big illusion. And Twitter, or X, is the ultimate place to let this happen. Yeah. We think certain information is getting out there because it has 200,000 views. Well, it's the same 100,000 people seeing it twice. It's not a ton of. It's not like this information's reaching everyone, and we have this false sense of that through algorithmic placement. And so you have these sophisticated sentiment engineers using advanced algorithms, and this is what you get. You get complete strategies to not only sort of distort the true story, but to pull everyone into a manageable alternative reality.
100%. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head right there. And it's not just crypto that they do that, and they do it with everything. Right?
Everything.
Whatever they can get you locked in, put in that box, you are just much more easy to control. And then you put on top of it, the folks like Jim Cramer, that's the quote unquote expert that goes on TV and tells what this or that is going to happen. And most of the people that follow him, they believe him, right? They believe him when he says, this is going to crash, or this is going to go higher, or whatever. and all the people that are in the know that know it's usually the opposite of what they're really pushing is what's actually the truth. They're like up is down and down is up, so to speak.
Totally.
It's much easier to control the population like that. I mean, we are so manipulated, aren't we?
What we are, but isn't it? It's also a whole separate conversation. It's very interesting to me now, trying to understand why this happens. I started this again on my negative in the beginning of the curve, of the conspiracy journey where things are darker. And you just think, man, these guys are just doing this because they're greedy hedge funds. They want to make the most money. And the more my journey has progressed, it really feels like they're doing something bigger. Like there's a certain type of person that follows Cramer. Most people don't. In fact, it's basically a joke to follow him. It's a well-known joke on Twitter,
Right.
But with these older demographics, there must be some kind of bigger purpose, whether it be like it feels like some kind of universal balancing act. Like certain information is shared with certain groups to maintain the money supply in the effort of national security or just to keep things peaceful. Like, I mean, how else we get most people that criticize everything, and I was one of them forever, and I still criticize things, but I used to criticize everything. I think that's another part of the beginning of the journey. But you really start wondering if there's a bigger reason for all this. It can't be so simple. So I don't know. I can't figure that out. It's one of the things I'm most conflicted on is like, why are they doing this? Is it simply because they're greedy? Or is it serving some kind of purpose? Is this like our best effort at maintaining peace?
I'm going to go the business route. If you delete emotion and you recognize that we live in a world of business transactions, okay? You do a thing, you get this currency, dollars, whatever. You go spend a thing to get a thing, and then you wake up and you do it again the next day. Each generation has its outlet for receiving information. Newspapers, long time ago, and that was for the trendies, right? way before the peasants of the world could read. Then we moved into radio, right? And then radio 2.0 called TV. And now TV, arguably is going away because we jump on social media. So social media, videos, etc. That's information 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, and so on and so forth. And, to kind of get back to your why is Cramer still relevant, or the purpose of that? It's like, well, because that business model is still working for that market. So people that would used to listen to Cramer or went in on the Cramer rabbit hole, so to speak, for just an example, right? Or here's another one, and this is not me throwing shade at anybody. Those that listen to Dave Ramsey on a topic, right? Whoever is from Dave Ramsey's generation and speaks Dave Ramsey, but the offspring of Dave Ramsey's generation, right, is like 2.0. Yes, mom, dad, you had made some sense here, but I am seeing something else, that's a little bit more relevant for my time as an adult here, the way that I conduct myself on this planet, etc., blah, blah, blah. But for me, just to kind of answer the question, it's, if you look at why are things so relevant, why is this still a thing? It's because that generation is still alive, and even arguably the one thereafter is still going to individuals like Cramer or individuals like Dave Ramsey. Not that Dave Ramsey's a bad guy. I'm just saying it's really, I think I see it as a business thing. Look where we're at right now, talking about X tonight, which we're broadcasting live. Here's TV 2.0. This show right now is broadcast to 29 different countries, courtesy of IMU TV. Thank you, fellas. Love you big time. But now we're 2.0. Right now, it's not watched the three popular channels for free TV. It's I have a cell phone and internet, and I can just log into IMUTV and watch this show, and that's how they will get their information. And so who controls? Say let's back it up a little bit. Who controls the algo? Say just YouTube, for instance, right? IMUTV, they're the ones calling the shots. What if IMUTV gets bought out, hypothetically? Well, then whoever owns IMUTV could then, again, do the same thing, corral for purpose. And in my mind, to keep things just arguably simple, it's for business. You know, what I think of business, what you think of business is, honestly, I would say it's totally irrelevant. It's, you know, we would say it's control. It's like, yeah, but, you know, without us, there is no them, and without them, there is no us, right? Like you were talking about, mentioning earlier there, NFA, kind of balancing the universe. You know what I mean? But think about it. When they burn one, there's always a replacement for something else. There's always a replacement. That's just innovation as it is. And we have innovation in there that we could take advantage of, but eventually that innovation will be used for that agenda in which we are far. Well, we just don't have the power. So you know what I mean? But it's interesting. So yeah, when I think of that, why is Kramer still relevant? Is because whoever is listening to Kramer, part of that generation. You talked about your grandmother tonight, right? Well, I think as soon as you said that, I instantly thought of my grandmother. Love you, Grandma, by the way. Glad you're still 99 years old and you still here. She's TV. That's it, right? So until that part of our culture goes away, so that YouTube University and more can just take over the rest of that market, or fulfill that hole, then whatever the grandkids are going to be doing to consume their information, that will replace our YouTubes, in my opinion, or maybe the generation thereafter. But that's relevancy, right? You gotta take a chunk off, hybrid, take a chunk off, a little less hybrid. Okay, now we're full this, and then you do another hybrid, and then so on and so forth. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
but just for me, I just see it as business. It's all business, all of it.
I've been reading through the chat while you guys were chatting, and we've got
make somebody mad.
Wait, no, not at all.
Okay, good.
We have 190 people watching this conversation, and they're super excited. And Opti pointed out that some people don't even know your videos, NFA, and so she is requesting. There's several ones that she's touched on here, but she was saying, could you give some of his summary of the 589 and share some of the crazy replicas that he's found? And then she also mentioned something about there's a video where the bearable images where there's a star in the window, and there's a story about his body in the universe of off-gassing or something that makes it light up like a supernova. Are you familiar? Obviously, you're probably familiar because you created it. But can you touch on any of that for us?
Well, yeah, I mean, first 589 is just so interesting in the XRP community.
Right.
And that was so intriguing to me from the beginning, because it's like, why do they love this number? They use it everywhere. They're not shy about it, but they're also mysterious, and you can tell there's like a fun mysteriousness about it. And then you look into it, and there are very interesting properties of this number, like 5 + 8 + 9 is 22. That's the master builder number in numerology. And that number finds itself all the time in these scientists' work. They're not only using it, but they also acknowledge it as such, as them being fans of numerology and them using this number intentionally. But also 5 × 8 × 9 is 360. So the perfect circle. And you just have this number that it's like this perfect number. It's 7 away from 666. And all these little quirky facts about it, right? But the way that it was weaved into crypto was what was so intriguing. And in the beginning, it was only XRP. That's how we were introduced. Was Bearableguy 123's meme. He posted his first 589 meme, and he drew attention to that number, and no one really had heard of that number, 589. And he just posted it on a picture of the UN and said 589, and that was, I don't know if it was his first riddle, but it's kind of what's known as his first riddle. Yeah. But then you know, in retrospect, then I start hammering away at this number, and I find so many crazy things. Like, first of all, things that aren't crazy, but just playing out in the open, like David Schwartz will tease 589 in tweets and images and things like that. And to the
Brad
point where,
Garlinghouse was following 589.
right, and Ripple followed 985.
Right, exactly.
It goes on and on. Like Donald Trump is 589 in gematria, and Jesus is 985, and all these things. The Declaration of Independence is 589. And it just goes and goes, right? But what gets really intriguing to me are all these massive crypto developments that happen outside of XRP, sort of that set the tone for crypto as we know it, on this famous day, May 8, 2009, which was May 809. It was like the ultimate 589 day. And things that happened that day, let me just see if I can go through some of this. It was such that so many things happened that just don't make sense. So, for example, the SEC filed release number 3459895 on May 809. And it was basically a passage that was used in all of the modern day ETF infrastructure from the very beginning. It like laid the groundwork for how Bitcoin ETFs would be structured, and basically digital commodities would be structured in the future. And this happened on this, first of all, is file 59895 on May 809. And the list goes on. And there's, like, for example, the first time Satoshi ever posted the Bitcoin protocol into a public forum was May 809. Before, he had just published it to this like niche computer programming blog and got like, like 12 people. The first time it was ever posted to Reddit was this day, May 809. Totally unrelated to the SEC filing, even though that's the filing that would be cited even today as the ETF framework. And this was the day that Satoshi posted it for the first time to Reddit. Not only that, this was also the day that Obama put out the first ever policy review that identified digital ID, that named it by name, that talked about cryptographic wallets. This was, again, on the same exact day. And the list goes on. There's tons of other things that happened on this day. Even Jack from formerly Twitter, Jack put out his announcement, starting something new today, excited. And that was the day he announced what was called Squirrel then, which went on to become Square. So Jack Dorsey announces Square on 5809. And he in particular loves numerology. And, I've Adam Back too, the guy who created, like, I think it was hash mining and cited in the Bitcoin white paper. This guy is a known numerology fan. He said Satoshi loves numerology. So these people love numerology. They're aware of it. They use it, and it empowers them in some kind of way. Whether it's like a tell, whether it gives you sort of retrospective Easter eggs, where later on, 10 years from now, someone looks into this and they say, oh, okay, they did this. They're aligned with the movement, the quiet movement of crypto. And too many things happened in reference to that day. So this day I make a video about this May 809 day, and then I posted on Twitter an excerpt of it for the first time, and it got a bunch of views, maybe 500,000 views. And then 3 hours later, Arthur Britto breaks his silence for the first time ever, 5,890 days after May 809.
That one blew my mind. That video, you were like, "What is he? Is he talking to me?" Like, almost like
I couldn't believe it. I showed my wife. I'm like, I gotta do something. Like, I don't know what to do. She's like, well, first you got to delete all those exclamation marks in the Twitter in the tweet. I'm like, okay. I was so excited. Like, what is this? It was so freaky. But yeah, I think that they're teasing this number. Like, it's in so many of these sort of world stage narratives, and it just comes up in too many places and has too much significance in numerological planning and numerology itself. it's just fascinating to me. And I'm telling you, I gave you 4 or 5 examples. There's like 50.
I have a question for you. So, I did stumble upon the gematria with the Q thing, because they also use that as well. And I'm like, okay, so who created that, right? Like there's all these different ones that you can go to and search different phrases and whatnot, and what does it come up to? And with the Q people, it's always like the 17. That's another number that is like all over the place. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and you realize they use it a lot. And so I can only imagine that it is some form of communication that they use, much like the 589. Where, like, do you think that because they are all into numerology and it does have some kind of significance, and if you look back in history, these numbers are used over and over and over again, do you think that this gematria stuff has been built upon that, like from the past, so to speak, because that's what they have always used? Or where do you think it comes from, the gematria part of it?
Sorry, I was muted.
No worries.
I will say I'm not big on gematria. I do see it a lot, and people love tweeting about it all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's mostly because it's, and no hate or anything, but it's not a hard find. It's like, it's exciting to make a discovery, but if you just type in a word into the Gematrinator calculator and it shows you, a bunch of words that also have that number.
Yeah.
What I don't think people realize is when they do that, they're doing it on a website that only includes conspiracy terms. So when you type in duct tape, duct tape might have like 89 or whatever. I don't even know. But then, but you know what? What shows up under that will be like George Bush did 9/11, like the towers fell that day, like, things like that, where that's your word bank to choose from. That's why people make so many connections with gematria, because they don't include so many other words. It feels like this discovery, but in reality, the words that show up the most in those word banks aren't the most relative to the search. They just were searched the most frequently. So if George Bush did 9/11 was searched 2,000 times, it shows up first under duct tape, where green lamp might show up under, as well. But green lamp's never been typed ever into gematria. And so, but however, I do think there's something to it. I just don't think it's as prevalent as is made out to be because of these calculators. And it's not my expertise. Again, I do believe people use it intentionally. I think that there's math coding behind letters. But then it becomes like, which one's even the most legit? There's so many different gematria calculators. And
that's exactly why. That's why I see these things, and, it goes back to the question why, like why or who, where did this come from, right? Especially if you're a new truther and you're stumbling upon these new tools and stuff and things that you've never seen before, you're like, oh, this is this, or the CIA website, if you go here and you type in this and you can find, and you know what I mean, and you get excited because you found a new tool that you're not familiar with. That sometimes we forget to ask ourselves why and who created this. And like you say, when you're searching something so many times, right, and if you think about it logically, and there's a lot of narratives push and whatnot, and so you're going to get a lot of people push to go to that particular site to type in those particular words to verify that this is actually this, right? And so I could see how you could easily manipulate that just based on volume if it goes off of, how many times something is searched. So, however, the numerology part of it, that is real, and that is something that has been used over time. Like the significance of numbers, they do mean something.
Absolutely.
And so, like my mind always goes to like, how you said history of these things may have already been like written out much further ahead than we think, right? Like planned out. And so if you think about the world and how interconnected everything really is, and how much time it would take to move you from one, or transition you from one system to another, when you have like a Jenga thing of full of everything, and one false move could collapse the whole damn thing, right? So it has to be handled very delicately. And I would like your perspective on this as well. I think from what I see as an outsider looking in and trying to speculate on all of this, I think that it's being handled relatively well with all of the things that are going on, and with the utmost of care, because it wouldn't benefit them to completely crash the whole world, right? It has to be handled delicately, and they have to be able to communicate with one another these different things. And I think they use numerology to do it. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just can't. I could never prove that wrong. I think that they definitely use numerology. People have been using it since the beginning of time. There's people that believe the Bible's encoded numerically, and it very well could be, right? So yeah, I'm sure they use that. I just don't know how to read it. I don't incorporate that into my work because I'm not as sure when it's something to, I don't notice those patterns as much personally, is what I'm trying to say. The numerological ones, as far as like words having number meanings, I should say.
Yeah. Someone just said I'm biased because the world has crashed many times. No, I realize the world's crashed many times, that, different parts of the world have crashed, right? I'm just saying from what I'm seeing now, they are all interconnected, and I think that they are handling it delicately, even though it's kind of turmoil for those of us that are kind of watching it. But like a lot of the folks, they don't really realize even what's going on, when it comes to all of this stuff. The whole communication with each other, I think they do. I do think they talk with each other in signals and whatnot. And just like Simon was saying in his Game of Thrones or whatever, where the kids are raised up to know, like, hey, we wear green when this is happening, or like whatever the signals are. If you come from a family that is in the quote unquote no, like if your mom and dad works for the IMF, right? You're going to keep your daggone mouth shut. What mommy and daddy talk about at home. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same kind of life as what we have. And so I can imagine that some of these people that are in the know, even if they're not like big players in it, they just might be listening to conversations or speculating themselves, and then playing these little riddle games too, and having fun with it. What do you think about that, NFA?
What, as riddles being just like a fun game to them, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, picture this: you're a kid that's being raised up by parents that are connected to the IMF, or, the World Economic Forum, or the president of the United States, or whatever, big corporations that control a lot of money, that trickle down to all these other companies and whatnot. If you think about it, there's actually probably quite a bit of folks that know something about what's going on. They might not know the whole picture, but they might know bits and pieces of it. And I could see them like being a little riddler themselves,
Oh yeah, or at the very least wanting to get out what they know. I don't know. I'm not in their shoes, but it feels like certain people might feel like a human sort of obligation to let their fellow humans kind of know something. Like that's at least what I'd hope for, and that's what gives me hope about this Riddler idea, that certain people in NDAs, like, they're letting in certain people. That's what it does feel like. And of course it's possible that that's not what's happening or whatever, but that's my best idea of what they're doing. That's why Riddlers exist. It's too weird riddlers would exist in the first place, especially around a technology that ended up panning out so far exactly as they said it would. Bearableguy was saying, you know, buy XRP before anybody really in a mainstream sense, like in 2017. That, I mean, I think he had posts or even earlier than that, and the price was like what, like 5/100th of a penny, 7/100th of a penny.
Man, I wish I had fallen upon that, you know, back then.
Exactly. Like, so there's something to it. There are these images made by these riddlers that are very intelligently created. They're very thoughtfully created. They line up with all kinds of numerology, right? And they're coming from a place that accurately predicted the future, and they continue. I mean, why not look that way a little bit, all things considered?
Yeah. Fabio Marzella says, he's from the Zhao, numerology persists because it satisfies the human need for meaning, control, and identity. What do you think about that?
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
Everybody has their perspective on this stuff. You know, certain things aren't going to resonate with you. And I think what's interesting the most is like, you can come to the same realizations from all kinds of different angles, and everybody is on their own journey. You know, you'll realize things in a completely different place. And if it comes down to deciding, do I want to believe there's no meaning in the world, or do I want to believe there is? Like, I would choose to believe there is all day, every day. I think some of the greatest minds have said that there's more meaning. Like Isaac Newton devoted his life to decoding the universe. So many of these great thinkers did exactly the same thing. They sought a greater truth that they thought was there to be discovered through mathematics and their observations of the world. And that's what they set out to do. And these are the guys that, you know, founded many of our systems today. They're brilliant. I think many of the most brilliant minds in the world not only communicated like this, but also sought deeper meaning.
Man, you know, one of the things that just popped in my mind, and not to take the conversation in a different direction, but I don't know if you've ever considered this or if you already have done it or whatever. I highly encourage you to archive all of your stuff on the blockchain or tokenize your work in some way, like, because you, my friend, are somebody that will go down in history as one of the great dot connectors. And I mean that genuinely, sincerely, when I say it. And what better material to, you know, live on forever on the blockchain. It can never be taken down. If you're familiar with Patrick Riley, you know, he's come on Dipito several times, and he has different inventions and whatnot. And he actually put them on the blockchain so that they could never be taken down and be prevented from being shared and whatnot. And, you know, your dot connecting should never be taken down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you very much.
Think about it, my friend.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, I love that, but I think someone's going to figure out eventually, basically like a way to organize all these fines. I think about John Deaton and decentralized justice, and how there was this whole effort of people who didn't know each other kind of sharing legal knowledge and trying to dig in. Like even people who weren't lawyers were finding little like discrepancies and whatever it might be. Right. This was, it happened in such a way that is documented now. And I think in the future, whatever kind of algorithms they have, whatever systems they'll have, they'll put together dot connecting that incorporates everybody's fines. And, you know, and I love the finds I've made, you know, it's like the joy I have right now are making these discoveries and things. But I do think that it's impossible for me to just take credit as like this great dot connector all the time, you know, because I swear, like, it's not, I do give credit when I find things from people, but man, like it's not emphasized enough how amazing it is that there's just this internet, this X, where people just go online and share all their little finds that accumulate into a greater understanding of a topic.
Yeah. Well, and yes, I get what you're saying. And like, there's a lot of people that are connecting dots. You're not the only one. That is true. However, there is only one you, and you're pretty fantastic in the way that you put things together. I'm requesting that it be documented on the blockchain forever, because I think it is so good. And I think it'd be so cool for somebody to stumble upon it, you know,
50 or 100 years from now and go like, what the hell was going on in 2020, 2025, 2017 to 2025? Like, what the frick
Oh my
is
God.
happening? So yeah, I think definitely it should be documented forever, because it's fun. It's fun. It's lighthearted. The way that you go about documenting it, and anybody that is not following your channel, he's on YouTube, notfinancialadvice.crypto. He also has a website, notfinancialadvice.crypto, in a Patreon as well, and you can find that information. So I highly recommend you guys watch some of his videos. You'll understand why, if you haven't, why I'm so like fangirly over this guy who can't show his face. One of these days he'll show up. Hopefully it'll be on Divoto Show. But in any event, like, yeah, we're super glad that you came here. Man, there's still so much to talk about. So I'm gathering, and I don't know, is Bearableguy 123 then your favorite Riddler, or is there another one that has intrigued you equally?
That's all I've ever focused on, really, is Bearableguy 123, and then sort of, I think it came from really, I did my due diligence on like sort of the agendas, the plans, and everything else. And Bearableguy 123 became a creative outlet that feels real to me, right? It still feels like there's some substance here. It feels like a real thing. But that's the one that, and Mr. Poole feels more like a sidekick to Bearableguy 123. And I wasn't into the riddles in 2017 and 18. When there was other guys like Ross Vandermeer and a few others. And I also never followed Q.
Something green eggs and ham or something, Sam I am or whatever.
Sam, yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the earliest decoders from my angle, and there's so much information that was lost back then. Like even Baba Cugs, I love that guy. He's just a good dude. It's just so fascinating. Everyone's different takes and interpretations of these things. And there's just so much more, like, just such a more vibrant ecosystem of thought there than the traditional stuff, which is still important. And it's more important if you're just starting, is the traditional stuff. But, you get a grip, you understand what's going on, and then you need a little spice. You need something kind of more mentally stimulating.
Man, listen. Like, I wasn't like, some of these people could even be folks that benefited early on because they did stumble upon it way earlier than we did. And, when things are listed at a very low price, you could buy a big bulk, and all it needs to do is hit like 1 cent and you're like set for life, right? If you stumbled upon something, and then, what do you do? What do you do for yourself? And, I think to myself, like, if I'm so fortunate to have that happen, what would I do? Would I have a little fun? Would I try to lead people down little rabbit holes and whatever to get them to awaken and start asking questions so that they could stumble upon certain things on their own? Right? Because it really needs to be organic. This type of find. It has to be organic, and it has to be led by yourself. Like, if you're interested in diving into it, you have to do your own research. You have to form your own thought process on, the information that you're taking in, what it means, what it doesn't mean. You have to put it in perspective in your own life. And, all of these questions need to be answered when you start dipping your toe into this kind of stuff. But it sure does seem like it would be fun to be a little Riddler myself. What do you think? You ever see yourself as a future Riddler?
Honestly, no. I don't actually know. Like, I don't have the knowledge of the script and things like that, if there is one, right? But it is funny though, because I made this discovery a while back. I'm trying to figure out how to make a video about it, but it's basically why I have that banner on my Twitter. And I basically made a riddle to myself in a weird way. It's just a graphic with all these different points on it, all these different images and symbols that remind me
Oh,
of
yeah.
what connected that day. So that in it is technically a riddle, right? It's a pictographic riddle, like, so technically, but I'm not equipped to be a riddler myself. I'm just like I'm like a new age journalist that has entertainment kind of mixed in.
Right. It's like that one, what is it? Is it Economic Times, or what's that one magazine that they put out, where they also seemingly have like little riddlers, riddle
Economist.
pictures. Yeah, The Economist,
Oh, yeah. That's
right?
a classic one. They came out in, I think, like 1988 or 89, and like exactly 33 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days later, they came out with their stablecoin cover, GovCoin. Like, they're playing games with that. And on the front of it, it shows basically the stellar lumens logo with 10. And everyone's like, what's 10? Well, 10 is the Roman numeral X. So it's X. It's X and a Saturn sign. So it's XLM and Saturn, which is the same symbolism as Grok and X, the X app. It's like there's an archetype there, like something's happening. We don't understand why, but they're both choosing a Saturn symbol and an X. Why?
Is interesting, isn't it?
Exactly.
Man, let's see. Do we have any questions in the house? So Awesome Amy says, I enjoyed the video story from NFA about the bears during the Roosevelt time. Interesting stuff. You wanna talk about that real quick? The bears in Roosevelt.
The Teddy Roosevelt thing was
blew
crazy.
my mind.
Well, long story short, because there's a lot in there. I did like, I think, a 3 or 4 part series on it, but they're basically cartoon bears. The origin of cartoon bears comes from this Teddy Roosevelt political cartoon. I think it was November 16th, like 1902. So that was the first bear cartoon, essentially, that gave birth to teddy bears. And Teddy Roosevelt was known for using political cartoons to send double messages. So right off the bat, this guy literally sends double messages in political cartoons, including that one specifically. It was called Drawing the Line in Mississippi. And the double message was that he spared the life of a bear. So he drew the line and said, don't kill this bear. But it was also about them drawing the border of Mississippi, literally. So you have this double meaning right there already. And now fast forward, and it's so strange. Like, these riddles love hiding symbolism to the origin of things. So a cartoon bear's origin being that cartoon, right? Well, in that cartoon specifically, Teddy Roosevelt has his hand out in a very unique way to say, don't kill the bear, to stop the bear. Well, in Bearableguy's greenhouse riddle, that's exactly what one of the characters is doing, that same symbol, and they're holding down the bear, basically. Like, he's preventing the hand from getting to the bear the same way Teddy prevented the shooter from getting to the bear. So it was an homage to that cartoon. And now what happens is that political cartoon just so happens to be David Schwartz's birthday, November 16th, which also happens to be the same day all regional Federal Reserve banks went live. So this November 16th date is so interesting as it relates to banking and, again, cartoon bears. And you have this cartoon bear riddler at the cusp of the future of banking. And that goes forever. I mean, I'm beyond coincidences at that point. Like, the bear symbolism, and like, I just put out a video too where on the first ever dollars, like the word dollar comes from taler, which is this Bohemian silver coin from the 1500s. Well, it made its way, the wording made its way to American colonies in the mid 1500s, and the thalers then had bears on them. It was literally a big bear was on the first dollars, and on the back it said SDG. So you have, again, like that whole agenda called the SDGs. Bearableguy's first ever tweet, his first ever image of 589 was on the UN headquarters. The UN makes the SDGs, and now the first ever dollars had bear and SDG on them. Like, what? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's too perfect. It has to be at least somewhat intentional.
Yes. At least this future part has to be, or like present part is definitely has to be intentional based off of previous stuff. And so if you think about it, where they're using it to communicate something now, and then you look at what they were communicating before, like that many years ago, they've been doing it. So if anything, it just confirms like, yeah, they've been communicating in these ways for a very long time, you know?
Oh yeah, and two, like, you know, Bearableguy's first ever 589 meme was on Valentine's Day, February 14th, which is 12.3% of the year. 1, 2, 3 again. But the reverse. So if you take 12.3% of the year and go backwards from December 31st, it takes you to David Schwartz's birthday again, November 16th, the date of the teddy bear. Like, come on.
Which then I always think like, okay, are these people's like real names, real birthdays?
Oh God,
You know what I'm
right?
saying? Right. I just
David
don't
Schwartz
Yeah.
was born 589 days after
Right.
Elon Musk, or I think before Elon Musk.
Right.
Weird stuff like that.
It's like really weird stuff. And so then, you know, even if someone says like, oh, well, you know, it's just, you know, it's a coincidence or whatever, but it's like, oh, it's too perfect for it to be a coinky dank, you know? It's like, you know, but it could be more that it's intentional, like an intentional show, and we're watching a movie and people are playing parts, right? However, when you listen to someone like David Schwartz speak, you know, like that is a brain, like, you know, he's so intelligent.
Oh
You can't-
yeah, he's
you
the
can't-
real. He's not playing a part there. Yeah, yeah.
You can't fake that. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, I could say like, oh, okay, so here's a super smart guy, and you're in the. I mean, and he was in the NSA, and you know, like he's somebody that goes way back with, you know, the whatever you want to call it, that the government basically. And would they give him a name? Probably. You know, he gave his own self a name that he used for a long time, and then he started using his real name and whatnot. So, you know, that kind of stuff makes sense to me. If I don't know that I would want to be using my real name and be part of the things that are this big or whatnot, you know. So,
Yeah, maybe the first thing you'd do if it wasn't your real name was you'd have this obvious nickname. You're like, no, that's just my That's my nickname, not the other one. Like,
exactly. It's just so, I mean, but you know, if you try to 10 points to tell me the significance. Oh, 253 over 246 sacred fraction equals 0.1053. 10 points to tell me the significance. I don't know. I won't win no 10 points to tell you that, Jeremy. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, it's so interesting, all of these things, and it is great fun. I mean, especially with all the things that are going on in the world, you can choose, you could take your pick, right, of what you're going to focus on. When I started having, you know, getting my awakening and starting to learn, like you say, you stumble upon Bitcoin, you start asking about money, and then the dollar's going away, you know, and all of these things. And I followed that same exact thing. And then I'm like, well, I don't think it's going away. Like, this is not what I see, you know. And then the politics and all of that. And it's like, I've come to the realization of, where am I best suited to help the world in my own small way and entertain myself and teach myself, continue learning? Well, learning about crypto and the future and all the things that I stumble upon and see, you know, channels like yourself, that I can expose other people to it in my own way, and vibe with some incredibly awesome people. And so my attention has gone towards that because I feel like it is going to better my life. And then if my life is better, like financially, then I'm going to affect some other people in my life, that it could be like kind of a trickle effect, right? And so by having Dip a Toe Show and now Digital Ladies Unscripted, that's my way of kind of giving back and keeping some sanity and having a little bit of fun. And so I'm wondering if
that's something that, you know, resonates with you, and if you see yourself continuing making these kind of videos.
Yeah, I love that. I think that is why we're ultimately running channels like this. It's to learn. We're learners, and the only way you can really push the edge or get further in your learning, because at some point, you know where to search. If you do it for 5 years, you've searched every keyword, you've seen it all, you know where to find it, right? But you can only really get clearer. Your thesis can only get better when you present it and people throw rocks at it, and it refines itself, and you test it on the internet, of all places. That's the hardest place. You know, people that post stuff on Twitter are brave in a sense, or on X, because X is built so that the reply is just as valuable as the tweet itself. You don't have that in Instagram and other places. Where like that's the only way to really push forward. And then in addition to that, building a community ends up being sort of like an extension of your own mind. You get like a hive mind, sort of a collective effort to discover all these things. It goes back to the John Deaton decentralized justice thing. Like you can, the more people that are interested in the topics you are, like random, you know, people that are random to me, that'll find me out of nowhere, will send me a little blip of information they came across, and it's something I would never have found, or like their daughter saw something in school and they told them, and then now they're DMing me it, and I would never have found that. And it breaks open a whole angle to a video. And, you know, like this, that's one of the most valuable things of this whole thing is gauging people's curiosity. It gives, to know what people are trying to figure out really helps you learn. Especially when you're teaching the class.
Man, absolutely. Uncle Buster, thank you. You guys. And Darren Baxter, you guys are fantastic. We really appreciate you. Man, so Mike, a couple of questions, and we only have a few minutes left. So are you still working in what did you say, like marketing, advertising, and that sort of thing?
Not in this moment. No, I was doing a lot of that. It got to be, I mean, I just couldn't. I was too interested in crypto at a certain point. You know, I called the guy I was working for. I'm like, I can't do this anymore, man. Like I just, like, one day especially, I think I made like a good amount of money on like Batman NFTs, like something super random. I'm like, dude, I can't focus on this anymore. I'm sorry. And they totally understood, you know, like, so I made this more full-time, and I've really gotten a great opportunity to test out these theories in the private group. And like I said, I don't think this information is supposed to be just out there. I think you find it and it resonates with you, and it's not supposed to just be like on YouTube or something, certain topics, because I don't know, they're like destabilizing in a way, and I could be wrong, and maybe I could be right. That's even freakier.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the subjects that you touched on, and if you want to talk about your private group, Mr. Man is in the house showing you some love.
What's up, Mr.
Welcome.
Man?
And he's great. He's another dot connector. That one, you two would be fantastic in a room together.
He wears the Spider-Man mask.
He
right?
does. Yes.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, super nice and smart young man. So you have a Patreon, which is how I go and watch a lot of your videos. So you post little clips to your YouTube or Twitter or X. And then if you want to see the full video, you can go to your Patreon channel. And so you've explained that a little bit, because you're thinking that some of the dot connecting that you're doing, just, it's not for everybody, right? And
it's kind of like alarming to, like, this idea that the world could be staged is kind of rattling to certain people in that programming. And I just don't know. So, but, and you know, like my long form videos in the group are all about 20 minutes, and you know, there's 50 plus of them now. So if you subscribe, you got a library of 50 plus videos, and I'll post maybe like a 1 to 2 minute excerpt of each video the day after they go live. So
yeah. Yeah, I belong to that group, and I always wait for them to come out, and then I get busy, and I don't get to watch them like right as soon as they come out. And so if I get in there and there's like 2 to watch back to back, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I can watch, or I'll go back to the 1 or 2 before it so I can watch them in order again. And every time I watch them, I'm just like, holy smokes, man. There's
Thank you so much.
I mean, honestly, again, it's it's not every day that you can put stuff together in a way that is fun and entertaining and educational and just gets people to ask questions. Because guess what? We're fact checking you, or we're trying to anyway, right? We watch this stuff and we're like, oh, I wonder how he found that. I see these videos from, like, I watch those same people, the Darren Moores and the King Solomon and all those guys, and they would have stuff in their video, and I'd be like, well, they're not posting the link, but where I did it with conferences, and I used to send them to Simon all the time too, but like, they're finding this really important information that are going down on these high level conferences, and they're posting clips inside their videos. And so I would like zoom in and try to see what's on the back of their stage, and then I'd put that in YouTube or the internet, and I'd be searching it out and try to find any conference relation to like what they're talking about. And 9 times out of 10, I would find it. I would find the actual conference and be able to listen to it with my own ears and verify that, yep, this is not AI altered. This is a real video. Because that's another thing too, man. There's a lot of AI stuff out there now. Are you using any tools to decipher anything when it comes to that kind of stuff now with the AI issues?
What AI for me, I love using AI all the time, really. It doesn't do well at giving you new information. It does extremely well at fact checking things and sort of helping you repurpose a message, like as a transition or in like a piece. Like if you're working on a written piece to turn into a video, it is a great resource at like, you run it through it and say like, please fact check this, give me a rating, what needs work. It's a good editor. Sometimes, and you got to make the final call, but I love AI in that way. I think it will keep getting better. Right. It's not very good at what you would want it to do as far as like solving riddles though. If you give it a picture of like a Bearableguy, that's what actually is so interesting about this stuff is like humans still beat the AI. Because there's like this, what feels like a human touch behind the riddles. It feels like it's still encoded against algorithms to solve what they're trying to say. I don't know how else to say it.
So one thing I would like to know is if you have anything, because we only have a couple minutes left now. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would have liked us to ask you?
Honestly, I not really. I came in here with any. I didn't really expect any certain questions or anything like that. This was awesome. I really enjoyed being on here with you.
Yeah. What? Sorry, Simon.
Oh, it's okay. I was going to say it's been really great. A very soft, a soft tip of toe intro to asking questions on probably some really, as you were mentioning, NFA, some rattling topics, but to have just that, the curiosity piece of why, and more of an understanding of why, or when I say why, it's like, why are they doing this? That's interesting. I wonder why. What am I missing? Could I be doing that too? Is there an opportunity there? And I'm grateful to you for coming on this show tonight and presenting yourself to those that don't know, because I've been watching this chat, and there are quite a few. I know I'm streaming this to my private channel, and there's going to be a few on there that I go, wow, I've heard this rabbit holing type of scenario before, but you have a very soft touch with it, so thank you for coming on this show tonight and sharing that with those that don't know, that are looking to dip their toe in a brand new rabbit hole.
I love that, man. I love that
Yeah.
so much. And that's the most fun part of this right now is that we're still asking why. Honestly, like
Yeah.
we're researchers, we don't know that, but there's something there, and that's kind of the most fun part of this whole thing. Is like there is something to be uncovered still.
Always.
There always will be. There always will be. Megan wants to know, are you ever going to reveal who you are one day? Well, Megan, I can tell you if you go to meetups and XRP Las Vegas, he's not shy about who he is in person. He's just not putting his face out there on the internet. So there, I don't know, but you can go ahead and answer that, NFA.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a big secret. I just who my face and stuff takes away from my message. I've done it a certain way for a while, and I think I will transition away from how I've done it. It's, I haven't done this very long. I think my X account was started in March 2022. So it hasn't been a very long time. And yeah, things evolve, and I think that's where I'm headed, is to a more traditional presentation.
Yeah. Well, and I'm excited for that day to come. And again, like Avi said, you have the voice for it. You have the skills for it, putting together your graphics and the way that you present material. Like, I see huge, huge things for you, my friend. Huge, big. But yeah, I definitely see big things for you, and yeah, you're super talented. How can people find you if they're looking for you, especially on Patreon?
Yeah, so my Patreon is the NFA Research Group. So if you go to my Twitter, it's in the bio of all my social accounts.
Oh.
So
okay.
If you're following me on any of those, you'll see the link on Instagram and YouTube as well. And then I think it's up there in the Twitter too.
Yeah, I see it here. I'm going to post that in the chat. The other question is, and I don't, I know 2-hour interview is a very long one. I am pushing that into the chat right now. And guys, I put the link to his Patreon and also the after chat that starts at 10:10 on X. So if you guys, we really encourage you to come over and join us in the after space on the Dip and Toe channel. But we would love to invite you. Understand if you can't, but we would love for you to join us in the after space where people can come up and actually have a conversation with you. To have conversation. And we have 400 people in here this evening. Man, you brought it, NFA. Huh?
I love to see it. Yeah, this was awesome.
That's so great.
It was a good continuation of our conversation in Vegas.
Man, yeah, I could talk to you for weeks, like just Ryan was like, okay, let him go now, but I'm like, no, I don't know if I'm gonna see him again. I want to talk to him. But I did. I had a fantastic time. Simon, any final questions for him? We've got 2 minutes, and that's about as long as the song. So
no, I'm gonna let this man go. He's dropped gems and more gems, and again, way to present this information with the tone that you have presented it. That is probably the thing that gets people to listen with a calmer frequency. So well done, sir. I really tip my hat to you.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
By the way, your guys' intro song goes so hard.
That's all Melissa, man. She's on it. She
I was like, wow.
I know.
Wait till you hear the other 3 versions of the song that I created. But this was the unveiling tonight. And by the way, this is the 100th episode of Dip and Toe on the Dip and Toe channel.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so
100.
We're commemorating it with you. Do you have any final words?
Just hold.
Hold.
All right, my friend. We
like
thank
it.
you so
Right on.
much, guys. Next week, Dipito Faces of Crypto. We got some special guests that you guys are going to want to see. So make sure that you come back next week at 8 p.m. Eastern. And with that, NFA, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Please join us in the after space if you can. Otherwise, you guys all have a good rest of the evening. Love you guys.
Step right up, let's take the dive. Crypto world is coming alive. From XRP to the blockchain beat. Join the crew where pioneers meet. Got builders, dreamers paving the way. Multi-chain vibes, we're here to stay. Wanna know? Don't wait, let's go. Dip a toe, join the Web3 flow. Take a step, explore the scene. Dip a toe, show, living the dream. From the ledger to the stars we climb. Crypto's future, it's our time. Dip a toe, yeah, take that chance. Join the vibe, let's crypto dance. Faces of crypto, stories we share. Early adopters, they're everywhere. From XRP to the Web3 wave. Bold moves, only we're here to pay. Melissa and Simon, they light the way. Every week it's a crypto play. Wanna know? Don't wait, let's go. Dip a toe, join the Web3 flow. Take a step, explore the scene. Dip a toe, show, living the dream. From the ledger to the stars we climb. Crypto's future, it's our time. Dip a toe, yeah, take that chance. Join the vibe, let's crypto dance. Let's crypto dance. No advice, just a spark to ignite. Do your research, keep your vision tight. Community strong, we're building the way. Dip a toe show, here to stay. Take a step, explore the scene. Dip a toe show, living the dream. From the ledger to the stars we